Tonight's aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything we learned making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR.
Battle tested, and I know there was a Goodyear tire last night on Dale Jr.'s car that was battle tested. He slid it all the way into the pit and it didn't blow out. Brad Keselowski wasn't quite so fortunate. Phil, you talked about it in the opening. These guys got to be really careful getting on pit road. We need to spend as little time in the pits as we possibly can. Getting tires when you're not when you don't want them could cost you a race. So that's going to be a part of the equation tonight too. And I just want to say thank y'all. We've been on TV for 2.5 hours. We're a team. Not only us up in the booth, but the cameramen, the people, producers, all the directors, everybody that's helping make this TV show what it is. I appreciate being a part of this team, and I can't wait to watch these trucks race.
It's been a long day. As a matter of fact, at one point in time today, our camera people were all told to come down. If they were up on the booth, if they were out on the RF cameras, they were all told to come down and turn the cameras off because there was lightning in the area. So they have gone through a long day, and we appreciate them sticking around.
Certainly do. This is Fox Sports 1, and we are NASCAR.
The lights are off on the pace truck. That means this time by, that pace truck will make the hard left turn onto pit road.
Things are about to get crazy here.
Yes,
I mean, really crazy.
And they were pretty crazy on Wednesday. They're also pretty crazy on Thursday.
Now remember this. It's a 250-mile race. We don't really need to accomplish a whole lot in the first 100 miles. Let's just log some laps. Let's don't be too crazy. We got to get to the finish.
Is that what we saw in practice? The guys just out there logging laps? Because it was hairy out on the racetrack when this one started.
Here they come, buddy.
There it goes. The pace truck makes its way onto pit road. Field in the hands of Ben Kennedy, great-grandson of the founder of NASCAR. Green flag in the air. We're underway.
Phil, you're a genius. Ben Kennedy gets the jump on Ron Hornaday and pulls to the bottom, just like you expected would happen.
As you mentioned, Michael, these guys really hog the double yellow line. Remember, below the double yellow line, if you advance your position is out of bounds, most of the time we see these guys try to get right down there and stick it all the way around.
They're not allowed to push. If they push, they're black flag. They can bump draft. They just can't lock bumpers and push.
Okay, that whole thing I said about the first 100 miles, that's out the window already. They're 3 wide in the back. Matt Crafton has proven that outside line can indeed push up, like we heard some of the drivers talking about after practice. This is going to be a great battle tonight.
2 and 3 wide, coming out of turn number 4 for lap number 1. In front of the field, it's Ben Kennedy. Matt Crafton, your defending series title winner, is working the outside line, holding on to second.
How about his great-grandfather dreamed of this track, built it, and Ben Kennedy just led his first lap here. That's amazing for that family. Great job, Ben.
Ron Hornaday made the comment earlier today, hey, I'll stay on this guy's back bumper and we'll work together. He said a second-place finish to start off the 2014 season would be great.
He's going to plan on camping right there, he said. But things change. We talked about in the pre-race. You don't really need a plan to win this race because you better have the ability to change your plan as the race rolls along.
Just behind Ryan Blaney in the 29, we're riding along with Joey Coulter. Coulter running back in the 5th spot. He's on the inside line, 4th truck back.
Man, that's a beautiful sight. Look at those trucks screaming toward the start-finish line.
It looks like right now that the outside line is about a truck length slower a lap than the inside line.
The drivers talked about side drafting also, though. They're trying to work that outside line, trying to get as close as they can to that inside line.
There's my 2014 championship pick, Bubba Wallace. And, you know, Phil, you talk about them losing a little ground on the outside. If they really want to do that side drafting, duck over to the inside and try to slow the momentum of the inside trucks. There you see John West Townley giving a little bump to Matt Crafton. And look at the ground they gained.
Looked like he gained almost a truck length from that little bump.
That was textbook. They said you can bump. That's just what JWT did, and he pushed Matt Crafton ahead.
Was able to gain a spot, but now as they work their way out of 4 into the tri-oval, it's 3 wide.
Yeah, Armand Quiroga jumped to the outside on the backstretch on lap number 1, and that's where he stayed on the outside of a 3 wide situation from the very start.
Speed upwards of 190 miles an hour this pack. Take a look at the bump that John West Townley on the outside line gives to that 88 of Matt Crafton.
Bam!
Right there.
Right there.
And look at the momentum it gave Matt Crafton.
That's a perfect job by John West. Now, you just can't get carried away, Phil. It's going to feel so good. Look at the ground we made. I want to do it again, and you just have to disengage. That's the rules. NASCAR said you can bump, but you can't push, and these guys will be really challenged about having the discipline it takes not to push.
And we've seen in the past that bumping goes completely awry with these trucks because the bumpers really don't line up that well.
That outside line has Matt Crafton in front, John West Townley, and then the 92 of Ross Chastain. He's third in line on the outside.
This couldn't be going any better for Ben Kennedy right now. He's got a comfortable couple of truck length lead. Ron Hornaday, his teammate, and knows that's his ally right behind him. They're just up there calmly clicking away some laps.
We have right now 36 trucks within 2.5 seconds of each other. That's the whole field right there.
From the front of Ben Kennedy's truck to the very back of Norm Benning's truck, 2.5 seconds separating the entire pack.
Norm just made a big move on the outside to try not. You don't want to be last in line. If you're last in line, you risk losing the draft. If you can have one truck behind you, that'll keep you caught up. So Norm trying to make a move around the top. You can see trucks on the inside going by Matt Crafton. That's his teammate Johnny Sauter there in that 98 truck.
He needs another bump from JWT. He needs a little more momentum.
They continue to turn laps in the low 47-second bracket. That's 190 miles an hour is what they're turning as a group around this 2.5-mile super speedway. Ray Dunlap.
Rick, if you're not just watching this race, if you're listening on a scanner, you may think you're at a Sprint Cup Series race because most of these drivers have asked for a really good spotter. It can make up a really big difference, and I'd like to listen in to the radio from our leader.
Just remember, do not come off that yellow line on corner exit. We don't want to be the middle of three wide here.
That is the voice of Jimmy Kitchens, and Jimmy Kitchens works with Ben Kennedy. He works with his team all the time, and having an experienced voice up there and someone to keep you calm and give you information about what's happening around you can make a big difference in tonight's race.
And Ben Kennedy has been doing exactly what Kitchens has told him. He has stayed right on that double yellow line. You can't pass below the double yellow line here at Daytona.
Look at that outside line driving around Bubba Wallace. You can see Tyler Reddick pulling up. So this outside line it's like a yo-yo. They fall back a lap or two, and then here they come again. And it's all a product of how they side draft and how many bumps they're able to get in.
I think Bubba was on the outside at one time. He's made his way over the inside line, but looks like the outside line is hanging in there pretty well right now.
Ross Chastain, he talked about being teammates with the Brad Keselowski racing trucks. He's got one right behind him. That's Ross up there in that number 92 white truck. They're trailing John West Townley and Matt Crafton in that outside lane.
Darrell Wallace Jr., we saw him looking toward the 58 truck of Parker Kligerman. He was in the Hollywood Hotel, able to enjoy a little time with Todd Bodine and Chris Devoda, discussing the craziness that was going on in not only the practices in the Camping World Truck Series, but also the Cup Series practices he was a part of.
It doesn't look overly stable, does it, Phil? These guys are darting around all over the place, so it'll be interesting to see if they can keep them heading in the right direction.
Especially when we see the trucks going through the tri-oval area.
Herbie Sadler.
Well, the 29 of Ryan Blaney, third place truck on your screen. You can see the owner, Brad Keselowski, on the left of your screen. These races are very important for a number of reasons. Now, Ryan Blaney, one of the preseason championship favorites. A couple things. A new crew chief for him this year, Chad Kendrick, is atop of the box at BKR for Ryan Blaney. The only feedback his team has given him is they have told Ryan that Ron Hornaday in the 30 truck just in front of him is tight on exits. They've told him to be aware on corner exit. The 30 truck may be slowing up a little bit on corner exit. Ray?
Mike Beam leads the team for John West Townley in that 5 machine. He's the second truck on the outside groove. And just a moment ago, John West Townley radioed in and said, "We're not going anywhere." Well, his team said, "Be patient, nice and smooth on the wheel, and right now, stay in line." He's got a good truck in front of him. He gives Crafton another shot, but they want John West Townley to stay right where he is, right around that top 10 mark.
I love that plan. If I'm telling John West what to do, it's set right there, and let's just get to this this 20-lap caution and decide what we want to do. There's going to be a lot of gas and goes, don't you reckon, Phil?
Absolutely. I don't think we'll see any tires unless you slide the tires getting the pit road.
There will be that competition caution at lap number 20. Again, rains passing through the Daytona Beach area. We had a little bit later start than we anticipated. Ben Kennedy in front of the field. Tonight, the Fox Sports Live crew will bring you the latest news and results from Sochi, plus all the highlights from a full day of college basketball in the NBA. Fox Sports Live, it's coming up right after the truck race right here on Fox Sports 1. Ben Kennedy holding on to the #1 spot. Hornaday, Blaney, Coulter, Kyle Busch, all in that inside line holding on to their top 5 positions. The guys on the outside line, the 88 of Matt Crafton, the 5. John West Townley, they've been working diligently to try to get that second line to run, and they've been doing about everything they can.
Well, we talked about John West Townley just staying right there behind Matt Crafton. That's exactly where he needed to be. Matt Crafton's thinking, just don't wreck me, John West, because I can't afford to lose a championship right here at Daytona, let alone not win the Daytona race. And they get awful close, and it looked like Crafton got a little bit out of control there. So that's where John West wants to be. Matt says, hit me like that again. I don't want you there.
And they want to stay close to the trucks on the inside, too. That's why there's even less room than could. There's plenty of room to the outside, but they want to use that side draft and not let those trucks on the inside get momentum. You see Crafton now with a little bit of momentum, driving by the 13 of Jeb Burton, his teammate.
You know what I believe I'd try, Phil, if I was Matt? I would be down on him in the corner, but as we hit the straightaway, I might just try to flare up once and bring John West with me, get away from those trucks, see if I could get a little bit fresher air. Maybe diving into the trial will stick close to him so the air will hit you, but then as you come out, swing up high and just try some things. You're not making any ground there. Let's move around a little bit, especially if you know that the guy behind you is going to work with you.
You have to wonder what Matt Crafton is thinking with John West Townley behind him. He's doing some bump drafting. We actually listened in. Here's what he had to say on the radio.
It's knocking me now. Yeah, 10-4. That 92 is a little bit of a culprit as well. He's pushing that 5 into you every once in a while.
So bump drafting taking place in the second line. There's teammates running side by side. Crafton on the outside. Johnny Sauter on the inside. A year ago, the winner. Jeb Burton in the 13, also out of the Thor Sport stables, running right in that pack.
I tell you, that outside line has really done quite well here. We're completing lap number 16 right now, and they've only lost about 5 truck lengths from the start of the race.
Well, if you need a guy up there leading that outside line, I like Matt Crafton being that guy. He's experienced. He understands how to run up front at Daytona and Talladega, and he's doing a good job of keeping them caught up.
Ray Dunlap.
Guys, Johnny Sauter is driving chassis number 25. It's the truck that won at Daytona and at Talladega a year ago, and he was just Johnny's going to run up there and give the bumper to the 51 and see if they can change lanes and make any back.
I love that. If he can break free from that first.
Because there has to be enough room for both of them.
Bob Dillner.
21-year-old Ryan Truex did not make the good run tonight. His truck, he said, no complaints. It's driving awesome. But tell the guy right behind me to get off my back bumper. Ryan Truex driving the 32 truck tonight. He says, we can't go anywhere, so I don't know why he's pushing me. We're running half throttle right now around this racetrack. He's hoping to conserve fuel and have a good run here tonight.
Sean Corr's been racy, Phil. Every practice session he's been pushing and has a fast truck. This is an opportunity for you to get some headlines. You're at Daytona. If you can drive a truck to the front that we're not used to seeing at the front, you're going to get a lot of TV time. That could mean sponsorship and more races, and that's what these cats are all about. Not only winning at Daytona, but I want to go next week and race some more, and after that as well.
Ross Chastain in that 92 truck right inside of the 88 of Matt Crafton decided to jump down in the bottom line. That's one of the few lane switches we've seen since the start of the race.
We saw the first 4 trucks on the inside start to separate themselves from the 5th truck. It might be that run that
here we go.
Johnny Sauter was trying to do with Kyle Busch as they make the move.
There come Cal to the outside, just like we heard reported from the pits that they were going to try to make that move to the high side. They joined that string of trucks up top, and you see Kyle has separated away on the straightaway from the inside line, trying a little bit of what I talked about.
Then side drafts right in the apex of the corner, then moves back out away from the truck on the short chute.
I don't envy NASCAR because they're watching right now to make sure no one's pushing.
How many eyes do they have watching?
Yeah.
And look at how close these trucks are running. But we haven't seen any of them lock up yet. They have been just doing a little bit of bump drafting. But for the most part, the gap goes anywhere from about 2 to 3 inches all the way to 6 to 7 feet to even a truck length.
They tried to make it work before the competition caution and dove to the outside, but couldn't pull all the way to the lead. But still inside the top 5 is Kyle Busch.
Yeah, Kyle Busch was running 5th. He's still running 5th on the outside line as we come to lap number 20. Completing lap number 20. That's when NASCAR let us know that they would be having the competition caution. So all the trucks have made it past the start finish line. We would expect the caution to come out here shortly. On lap number 21.
See Ryan Blaney, the third place truck, that blue and white truck, the 29, flaring out a little bit in the center of the corner.
And the competition caution has come out as the field is working their way into turn number 3. So in front of the field is Ben Kennedy. We would expect all the trucks to be making their way onto pit road. As soon as the pace truck picks up the field coming out of turn number 1.
Sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge for the officials to give the right running order because everyone running side by side. They want to, every advantage you can have, they want to hit pit road earlier than the guy next to him if they can.
Great start for the evening for Ben Kennedy. Kept that thing right up front with Ron Hornaday on his tailgate. Ryan Blaney, one of the guys that a lot of people are picking for the championship, solid in the top 5. Great start for him as well.
And now, Phil, obviously we've slowed the pace down quite a bit, but you mentioned this earlier, how important it is getting onto pit road, stopping and getting off of pit road.
Yeah, now because they're going to be following the pace vehicle when they get to pit road, it's not going to be as easy to slide the tires and all that stuff, but you can overshoot your pit, you can have trouble on the pit stop, and that can still put you back.
And with the whole field coming to pit road, Phil, which I expect everyone will, getting in your box, you should be, the leaders will be fine. But when they're coming out, other trucks will be entering the pits. It get real congested, and you could easily knock the front end off your truck. So that'll be the concern under caution, Rick. Not getting to the line and sliding your tires, but getting in and out of your box without getting wrecked.
Very important, the communication between the spotter as well as the crew chief, because normally it's crew chief that will call him out of the box.
Yeah, the spotter usually gets you about 5 from your pit, and then he turns it over to the crew chief. He's got to have his head on a swivel, looking for trucks coming, knowing where they're going, and giving his driver some advice.
And knowing who's pitting around him as well.
A lot of action about to take place on pit road. Again, this is the competition caution. We expected this after the rains came here at Daytona Beach, Florida, and pushed us back a little over an hour from our original start time. And the field all behind the pole sitter, Ben Kennedy, as they will make their way onto pit road. And in front of our 3 crack reporters, let's go to Hermie Sadler.
Well, Rick, Ryan Blaney has reported he likes his truck, does not ask for any changes. They will take 2 right side tires, fill up with fuel. The only thing they've told him, stay in the back of the box so as to not get blocked in on the exit. Bob.
Kyle Busch told crew chief Eric Phillips, the truck is good. Do whatever you want to do, but maybe don't do much. So Eric Phillips said, you know what, we're going to go with a 2-tire stop here and just put some fuel in it and let her see how it is. Right?
Wedge adjustment for Ben Kennedy. You see him on the left of the top. Ron Hornaday in the Ream Chevrolet will get a wedge adjustment also. They will race off pit road, and it appears that Kyle Busch was the first one there.
Big problems for Tyler Reddick in the 19 truck. He is stalled on pit road. Don't know if maybe he broke something in the drivetrain or the truck won't refire. It looks like it's just barely rolling, Michael.
Yeah, I saw
there it goes.
Tires.
Hold it all the way to the floor. All right, guys, get your left sides ready. We're going to come back in, top off, get left, please.
They put right side tires on that truck during that pit stop, and then he stalled it, so they're just going to use this opportunity to get 4 on it. Maybe no more after that, Phil.
Tyler Reddick came in 15th. He comes out at the back of the pack. Welcome back. The problem on pit road with Tyler Reddick in the 19. What was it, Hermie?
Rick, he just stalled the truck leaving pit road. They worked on that about 8 times in practice yesterday. Just one of the adjustments a rookie has to make leaving Daytona. Ray.
Not many tires on my end, but Herman Quiroga got penalized because he overshot the pit box, so he came back in and then changed 4.
Rick, we talked about mistakes. That's a couple of them right there. There's a side window laying on the back straightaway. Looks like we're going to get green. The pace truck is moving off the racetrack. That's from the 07 of Michel Distier.
Green flag back in the air. Once again, that 31 of Ben Kennedy chose the outside line. Ron Hornaday on the inside. As soon as Ben was able to clear him, he drops right back down to the double yellow line.
Ben just has to be careful. He can't make that move before the start-finish line. You can't change lanes, and he bordered on doing that just then. He moved over really soon, so just need to keep that in mind and not make that mistake late in the race. If you're going to mess up on pit road, Phil, it's got to happen now.
Do it early.
You do it later in the race, you just can't overcome it. Look at that pack of trucks you'd have to pass.
Matt Crafton working that outside line once again. The outside line hasn't moved as quickly as that inside line, and Crafton has fallen back to the 5th spot. Kyle Busch up into the 3rd position. He's running on that inside line behind Hornaday. Johnny Sauter, Parker Kligerman also on that inside line.
Riding along with Joey Coulter, the Allegiant Travel Chevrolet for Gallagher Motorsports, new team. Going to run full-time with Joey Coulter. You see, Joey Coulter's not quite as close to the tailgate of the 88 of Matt Crafton as John West Townley was. It looks like they're losing a little bit more ground than they did early in the race.
Yeah, but now he's there, Phil. He just needed to push from the 17 of Timothy Peters.
And a bump right there.
A little bit of a bump, and that's going to gain him some ground.
Coulter bumping that 88 of Crafton, giving him a little bit of a run. On the inside, we see the 29 continuing to move up, Ryan Blaney. Once again, the 88 of Crafton falls back to the front bumper of that 21 of Coulter. Then he'll get a little shove and make his way back up.
You know, Phil, that was an interesting first 20 laps. We saw Crafton do a great job of hanging in there on the outside. He's losing more ground now. The trucks look like they're handling okay. We heard Parker Kligerman in the pre-race say they move around a lot more than he's used to. Is that something that they could have addressed on that first caution or that first pit stop there?
They didn't really have a whole lot of time. They only put 1 can of fuel in, more than likely. Maybe a little bit of the second can, and nobody changed tires.
Maybe a little bit of wedge, or if you had a handling problem, you were probably told by your crew chief you're going to have to live with it for a while. We can't sit on pit road.
Can't take the time to do it.
Crafton has now dropped back to 10th and falling out of the top 10. We continue to ride along with Joey Coulter, trying to give a bump to that 88 of Crafton to get that second line moving.
Yeah, the outside line has definitely not been as good on this go-round as it was earlier.
Wow, John King got out of shape there. Must have got a little bit of a bump from Tyler Young in that 02 truck, and it really had him wiggling.
Nice little save by John King.
Too wide once again.
You know, Hornaday might be content to ride on the back tailgate of Ben Kennedy, but I don't think Kyle Busch in 3rd is going to be content to do anything other than lead this race. He's in 3rd place. We heard him earlier choreograph a move to the outside to try to grab the lead. Let's watch this 20 truck on the inside.
Gunbroker on the hood. 20 truck moves just out of line, almost gets into Joey Coulter.
I don't think he didn't have any help from the 02 of Tyler Young.
No, he just lost his focus there momentarily, and that can happen so easy. You spend so much time looking in the mirror that when if you're not perfectly set with your steering wheel, when you look up in that mirror, you'll drift offline a little bit. And when you have a truck running a foot or two beside you, drifting offline can be devastating.
Have you noticed how Ryan Blaney is kind of fading a little bit to the outside in the corners? He's that blue truck that's right now 7th in line. Let's watch him when he gets down to this end of the racetrack and see if he does it as well. See most of those trucks staying right down on the double yellow line. Looked like he did that time.
I think these guys are all just trying to feel the air, understand what they can do to gain a half a truck length on that inside line. Matt Crafton right there with Joey Coulter tucked in behind him. He's not losing a great deal of ground, but he's not making any for sure.
There's no openings on that bottom line. So right now, the bottom line knows the tail, not giving anyone on that outside line an opportunity to drop down and get into line. Crafton continues to keep that outside line moving. He's the lead truck. He's got Joey Coulter just behind him.
Look at that run he gets. Makes up a couple of truck lengths there.
Timothy Peters in the 17, third in that outside line.
There's Bubba Wallace, a 54 black and white Toyota behind Timothy Peters. There's Bubba right there riding along on his onboard. You can see those trucks darting around a little bit.
Toyota has had a lot of success here at Daytona in the Camping World Truck Series. But right now it's two Chevrolets that continue to lead the field.
It's been all Chevrolet all night. They started there and they stayed there.
Timing. We've heard so many drivers compare this to a chess match. When do you make your move? What do you do to get with a partner out here where you can bump draft and try to make a move to the front?
The only thing I'll say about that, Rick, is I've never seen anyone catch on fire or turn over during a chess match. This is the stakes here are so high, but you have to look in the mirror. You're making decision after decision, and they're all being made at close to a football field a second. These guys, is the job that they have to make the decisions that can propel them to the front is very, very difficult. And oh, by the way, you're going near 200 miles an hour when you're trying to make them.
A chess match at 200 miles an hour. You've got to think very quickly and have great reactions. Ben Kennedy still in front. Daytona. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. The NextEra Energy Resources 250. Presented by Chevrolet. After 35 laps of the 100 are complete, Ben Kennedy has been out front all 35. Ron Hornaday running in the second spot. Kyle Busch, Johnny Sauter, and Parker Kligerman making up your top five, all hugging that inside line.
You know, Rick, last night in the Budweiser Duel in the Cup cars, after you run 25, 30 laps, the handling was going away on our cars. The tires were heated up and the handling went away. Not very many people got tires just then. I'd be surprised if some people didn't start to experience some loose trucks and maybe get out of control here.
Looks like they're dancing a little bit more than they were before.
You know, in the new movie Need for Speed, Aaron Paul plays a street racer who joins a cross-country race with revenge on his mind, yet proves to be one of redemption. With that in mind, let's let the trucks do the talking as we crank it up. Speed in theaters everywhere. That comes March 14th, and the trucks have definitely done quite a bit of talking as far as listening in on these trucks. And they're wide open, but at the same time, they've got to play with the throttle so that they don't run into each other.
That's over 8,000 RPMs, times 35 trucks in one big pack. And Phil, they're moving all over the place, wobbling back and forth.
Been a wild ride for the 21 of Joey Coulter. Got in the middle of a three-wide situation. Bubba Wallace in the 54 on the outside, and then Brian Silas in the 99 on the inside.
This is from Bubba Wallace's on board. He's going to drive to the outside of the 21 of Joey Coulter. Remember, this is at excess of 180 miles an hour. Look, Bubba's giving him all the room he can.
Now watch Tyler Young. Oh, he's so close. He's sideways, and he's looking underneath John King.
And that's a mistake that John King made, giving up the bottom of the racetrack.
Pushed him up into that higher line.
Jack King was near the top 10. Now he's all the way almost outside the top 20.
Top 10 all running on that inside line. Crafton running in the 11th spot, fighting for the 10th position.
Remember Tyler Reddick, the 19 truck, stalling it on pit road. Hermie, he's all the way at the back of the pack.
He is feeling he's staying there by design. He is a young, inexperienced driver here at Daytona, but he's got a lot of experience on the spotter stand. TJ Majors, who spots for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jr. is fighting for Tyler, and he is telling him to stay in the back of this draft. Here's some radio communication on the 19.
Tyler, we could be right up there in the middle of that when it happens. It'll probably get clipped when they start wrecking. We're in good shape right here. I can see it when it happens and get you slowed down, and we'll take advantage of all the mistakes.
You hear that feedback, and he's also reporting, Bob Dillner, he's only using about half to three-quarter throttle, so saving a little fuel as well.
Joey Coulter 13th on the outside lane, second truck back from Matt Crafton. He has 3 Daytona starts. His best finish 18th. He wants a good start to the season, but he's been getting pretty frustrated inside that truck right now. He doesn't understand why the people behind him and Matt Crafton even in front of him, why they don't stay in line, because he believes if they stay in line, they will get a good run. And Michael Waltrip, Matt Crafton, Joey Coulter's been talking about his line, how he keeps on swooping out and coming back down. What is Matt Crafton trying to accomplish when he's doing that?
Well, before Kyle Busch got up there, I asked if you thought maybe Matt ought to try that. I thought it was a move that could get you some momentum. That's how you have to play with the air. And as soon as Kyle got to the outside, he would go way wide on the straightaway and then swoop down on the corners. You got to move around, Bob. If you're not making any ground, let's change something up and try something different. And doing something different is moving a truck length away from the other trucks. We can see Johnny Sauter moved up out of the bottom line to try to help his teammate push forward. They get a couple more trucks up there in that top 5 to join them. We'll have a side-by-side battle for the lead.
Yeah, Jeff Burton, that 13 truck, one of the teammates for Thor Sport Racing.
Teammates trying to work together to make that outside line run. Jeff Burton jumps out in front of the 88 to see if that truck leading the second line will have any advantage.
Yeah, you got to appreciate what Jeb did. He saw his teammate up there trying to make some ground. They weren't going anywhere on the inside. So he said, I'll join you up there, Matt. Let's see if we can do something.
Remember, Johnny Sauter, Thor Sport Racing, won this race last year. His teammate, one of his teammates, was Todd Bodine. Todd pushed him to the
changes. Locked out the possibility of pushing around the racetrack, but you can bump draft.
Well, I like this rule change so far. Pushing is dangerous. You can't see what you're pushing. You can't see what you're pushing into. It causes crashes. And so far, the bumping, these guys have kept it pretty calm, and we're seeing a really entertaining race here.
But I think the patience is going to wear thin here before too much longer. We're not quite to halfway yet. These guys have shown an incredible amount of patience, but we get down with 20, 25 laps to go. Business is going to pick up, I believe.
Like ODW says, tick tock tick. The clocks are ticking down, and it's a pressure cooker.
And Phil, when you talked to Kyle Busch before this race started, he mentioned he had finished second a couple times. He knew when he had to go, maybe didn't have the opportunities, but now he's running in the 3rd spot. He's going to have Johnny Sauter behind him, Parker Kligerman back there as well. 3 Toyotas may work together to try to get by those Chevrolets that are out front.
Yeah, and I think right now he's content. He's in a great spot right there in 3rd position. He's content now. We get towards the end of the race, don't look for him to stay there long.
Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, at the top of the show, Phil talked about possible pit road mistakes. All of the trucks down on my end of pit road can go to lap 59 or 60. They got plenty of fuel. That's everyone except for the 88. Matt Crafton's guys did not get him topped off, and he has to come in between lap 50 and 52. That can be difficult, especially when you're on the outside line.
And one other thing we're going to have to think about now is because of the competition caution, if they get to lap 55, they're still going to have to come in one more time because they won't be able to make it all the way on fuel. Ben Kennedy continues to lead at Daytona. Ben Kennedy still dominating at Daytona. He leads Hornaday, Kyle Busch, Johnny Sauter, Parker Kligerman, Ryan Truex, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, John West Townley, and Ryan Sieg on pit road. The 93 looked as though he lost a motor or lost power in that 93. Jay White.
Sorry about that, Rick. You can see the fire come out of the exhaust pipes. A little close call right here. Watch this now. You see that white? Wow.
That's a bump. That's a bump draft went bad. He just got a hold of him when maybe Jeb was just turning to the right a little bit to get away from the inside line, and it shot him to the outside. Great save by Jeb Burton.
Jeb Burton still trying to help that outside line move. He gets right on the outside of the 54.
I think they've made a little ground up since Jeb pulled to the outside line in front of that 88 of Matt Crafton.
Yeah, they were almost back to the back of the field, Phil, and now they've driven up to about the middle at least.
Jeb Burton trying to side draft off that inside line and use the help of his teammate Matt Crafton just behind him.
Joe Nemechek, that 8 truck is going to jump to the outside.
How many times can we almost wreck, y'all?
Look at the accordion effect here.
See, got Nemechek's rear bumper cracked there.
Caleb Holman in the 75 got into the back of that 8 of Nemechek. Nemechek now moves to the high line. He's got Jimmy Weller in the 08 behind him.
I think he said, heck with all that bottom. I got to try something new. We're not getting anywhere.
Side draft continues for Jeb Burton in the 13, leading that second line. And now the 88 of Crafton has fallen into a spot on the inside line. That's the first time we've seen him up against the double yellow line.
In half the race.
At the halfway point, Michelle Distier was moving on the high side. Jennifer Jo Cobb in the 10 slow on the apron of the track.
This could be a timely caution for all these trucks, especially Matt Crafton. We heard maybe he didn't have a full load of fuel. They'll all come to pit road again.
Sure enough, the caution does come out. The second caution of the night. This time for a slower truck. It's Jennifer Jo Cobb in the 10. Still trying to work her way around the track.
It's a tough break for Jennifer Jo Cobb. She was running up with the lead pack. Pretty much all the trucks here were still running in that lead pack.
Hearing that the 74 will get the free pass.
We're going to put right side tires on, Michael, if we didn't do it the first time?
I think you got to, Phil. And heck, you know,
it should take enough fuel that you should have time to at least put right sides on.
I think right sides now is the perfect call. We know a couple of trucks earlier just got or went ahead and got 4 tires after
Kyle
some
Busch
problems.
was one of them, got right side tires.
After some problems, Quiroga got 4, and so I think Tyler Reddick got 4. So maybe they just take a little gas and grab some track position. So far, track position rules. You know, if you're up the front, you've been able to stay there. Like you said, though, as time ticks down, these boys will go into a different mode. They'll start trying to grab every inch of racetrack they can, and that's when action picks up.
Jennifer Jo Cobb is going to get a push back to pit road. We saw Michelle Distier have issues on pit road earlier, and then Michelle was able to get back out on the track, but wasn't up to speed as the pack caught him and put him another lap down.
Jennifer Jo Cobb's best career finish came right here at this racetrack. She finished 6th a few years ago. There's Joey Coulter, Allegiant Travel Chevrolet.
He's been solid all night long.
So is that young man right there too, huh? Ben Kennedy's led every single lap we've run.
Past the halfway point. Wondering if this might have been an issue for Jennifer Jo Cobb.
It's possible she ran out of fuel. Maybe didn't get it full here.
You can see how much gas has gone onto the ground.
Yeah.
A lot of it's come out of the can, but some of it didn't go in the truck.
So again, the 10 of Jennifer Jo Cobb was pushed to pit road.
She's there now, Rick. You can see her coming down pit road. Pits are open. Another test for Ben Kennedy. Rookie trying to figure out how to make the perfect pit stop and retain that track position. Needs to be perfect here, Phil.
We saw a couple mistakes on the first pit stops, the first go around. We'll see if they can have a mistake-free pit stop this time.
We'll probably see a couple more mistakes right here too, unfortunately.
Field making the way onto pit road, Hermie.
Rick, Chad Kendrick waved off the 2-tire stop last time for Ryan Blaney. He is on the tires. He started the race. They will take 2 right side tires on this stop, 2 cans of fuel, no adjustments. Bob?
2 tires as well for Kyle Busch. The big problem, the cowl insert flew out. They're going to look at it this pit stop, Ray.
Ron Hornaday a little bit tight coming off turn number 4 in that Ream Chevrolet. He's on the right side. Ben Kennedy, as Phil said, has led every lap 1 away from leading the most to get the bonus. They're going to put fuel in this one. They told Ben this will take just a little bit longer. They go ahead and push him away. Ben Kennedy will be hard time getting it started. Kyle Busch first off pit road. Ben Kennedy having trouble. Did he get it fired?
Looks like he's struggling to get it going, Ray.
Yep, slow off of pit road for Ben Kennedy.
Yeah, he has it running now, Ray, but he lost a bunch of positions. Michael,
You rolling, Ben? Yeah,
Once again, the 19 issues on pit road. That's Tyler Reddick. Also turned around on pit road, the 28 of Ryan Ellis.
You talk about it, how when everybody comes down to pit road at the same time, regularly we see trucks get together, and unfortunately Ryan Ellis was turned around backwards right next to pit wall.
Tyler Reddick has stalled on pit road now.
Talked about Ben Kennedy needing to be perfect on pit road. He had trouble exiting. That's cost him all his track position. We're in the second half of this race, Phil. You can't be giving up spots on pit road.
Now Ben Kennedy is, I'm sure, hoping to get back up into the position he had off of pit road, but he's going to be told by NASCAR that you didn't keep up a cautious pace getting back up to the pace car.
Yeah, actually had too cautious of a pace.
Here's the 29.
Look at that. We talked about getting in and out.
See, that's a situation where that's Chad Kendrick's job to know that that 28 truck is pitting 2 pits down from them, and he's coming in for his pit stop.
And there's damage to the right front of that 29 of Ryan Blaney, where he got into the 28.
Looked like Ben just never got it fired here initially. Stalled it as he left pit road. Let's listen to it.
Go, 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 go. Clear out 4th. You okay there?
Phil, I don't think he had
Did
it
he have it in
first
the right
gear.
gear?
I think he had it third gear.
I think it was in third, and he finally got it in the right gear, and it would go.
You see him get to the exit of pit road before the 51 of Kyle Busch, and it looks like that's where he's sitting beside Kyle Busch waiting for NASCAR to make the call.
31 had trouble exiting. The 88 had to back up. The 28 spun on pit road by the 29, and the 19 had troubles again. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything we learned making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Gorgeous evening after a less than gorgeous afternoon. Sun was able to peek through the clouds just about the time it was setting, and now we're underway with the NextEra Energy Resources 250 past the halfway point, only 46 laps to go.
That was probably the first clouds we've seen since we've been here.
That's a good point.
And it cleared up, and we've got fast trucks underneath the Central Florida sky, and man, this is going to be a great finish to a race.
Ray Dunlap, what happened with that 88 on his pit stop?
Well, Rick, it was a lucky break for him that the caution came out, because Crafton was just about to come down pit road. As I told you, he was short on fuel from the first pit stop, but he overshot the pit box. And that's something that Matt Crafton doesn't normally do. But guess what? I took a look at their pit stall sign, and it is white this year, and it's always been yellow. So maybe Matt Crafton didn't see his pit stop, but he definitely went over the front line in the box. They had to push him backwards. He missed it by a good bit, as you can see. And then by the time they got the fuel and everything, he left pit road in 26th. Bob Donor?
Kyle Busch said he saw the cowl insert on the 51 machine fly out at some point. So Eric Phillips, his crew chief, looked at that, and he's not talking about the cowl flap, but actually a piece of metal that goes down inside that cowl area. Eric Phillips told me it's not a problem whatsoever, but I was wondering what you guys think upstairs in the booth.
Does that give him an advantage?
Disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
Disadvantage?
They work on these things, tune them to get that air in the cowl, so could hurt him, but I think if you'd have to handicap that young man more than that in order to take his chance of winning away.
And what a great shot that is, of looking at these trucks riding up 3 and 4 inches off the track, and air alone is going to push that truck all the way down to the track. Hermie Sadler.
The trials of the 19 continue as he tries to learn how to get this truck off pit road. Listen in.
All right, this will be a normal 4-tire change. You're putting it in gear when it's on the ground between the right side up and the left side up. Talk you through it here. Yeah, when you leave, man, just you gotta keep it revved up and keep that wheel spinning, man, like you're doing donuts in a parking lot. You gotta keep it spinning, man.
And that has been the issue for the 19, getting off and getting out of his pit stall.
Ben Kennedy's struggling to figure out where he belongs in the running order, in behind Parker Quiggerman there.
He does fit in line. The pace truck is going to move off. So it's Kyle Busch and Ron Hornaday, your top two. Green flag back in the air.
Great move by Hornaday. He bailed on that outside line, got to the bottom, pulled right in behind Kyle Busch. He needed that great start to find that hole, Phil, and he did it.
But he made a little mistake getting off pit road, cost him several positions.
Back 2x2 still. On the inside, it's Kyle Busch and Hornaday. Timothy Peters leading the field on the outside line, and that's 17.
And that's Ryan Truex. He's made his way into the top 5, running that 3rd spot with Johnny Sauter right behind him in that 98 truck.
Ryan Blaney, that blue and white number 29 truck, running in the 4th spot. Parker Kligerman right now right behind Ryan Blaney in the 58 white truck.
They will have to come to pit road one more time. The pit window here at Daytona anywhere from 35 to 37 laps, and as you can see on the left side of your screen, 43 still to go.
Wow, look at the move that Timothy Peters in that red 17 truck. He's able to hang right there inside the top 5 with a big push now from behind the 92 truck of Ross Chastain. Gave him a nice shove there on turn 2.
It's amazing how the players change. A similar picture, but a few different players up front.
But we haven't seen this kind of progress from that outside lane since Kennedy was leading. He was able to pull the inside around there faster, but it looks like Peters is making some real ground.
How about a battle for the lead as they come into the tri-oval? Timothy Peters has got the outside line working. Will he lead the lap? He sure does. Timothy Peters leading once again at Daytona.
I wonder if that cowl insert being gone is hurting that 51 truck. He's not able to pull that inside line like Ben Kennedy was able to.
He's making some ground back on the inside, though. As those trucks got up on the outside, it pulled the truck of Ron Hornaday right up behind Kyle Busch, and now Ron's going to squirt Kyle out into the lead.
Look at how close these trucks are. Again, running upwards of 190 miles an hour. Kyle Busch on the inside. On the outside, Timothy Peters.
This is synchronized driving, Rick, and you can't do this all night long. As the pressure packs into this thing, as the laps wind down, they're going to get closer and closer to each other, and that's when a mistake will be made.
Side by side again as they cross the stripe. That time they're separated by 4 1/1000ths of a second.
You mentioned we still have 1 pit stop to go, Rick.
And we know how important those pit stops are.
Kyle Busch mentioned before the race started, he wanted to be in second on the white lap, thinking that was the preferred place to be able to make his move on that last lap. Right now, he continues to battle for the lead. He has the inside line. Timothy Peters and that outside line continue to move.
Phil, I think you're exactly right. I don't believe that truck's performing exactly like that team hoped it would once he got in the front. That outside line making that ground. Ben Kennedy has a really strong Chevrolet, so he was able to pull that inside line faster. Doesn't look like Kyle's able to accomplish that right now.
Riding along with the 31 of Ben Kennedy back in the pack. It's the first time he's had to deal with this situation.
And really nowhere to go. You see the 58 of Parker Kligerman right in front of him, right against the double yellow line. Then he has trucks to his outside. So there's really nowhere he can go right now.
Timothy Peters and that Toyota on the outside making his move. Ross Chastain just behind him.
Whoa.
Little wiggle there. 3rd truck back on the outside line.
Bubba Wallace got a little bit of a shove from behind, turn him sideways, looked like.
Bubba's had an adventurous night, hadn't he? He's been sideways a few times, but now he's fighting inside the top 10, looking for the top 5.
How about a call for Sean Core? That's the truck, that black truck right behind Bubba Wallace, 4th in line on the outside, running up in the top 10.
He's been racy this trip to Daytona. He's run up front in all the drafts that we've seen during practice, and now he's doing it again in the race. That's awesome.
He's got Mason Mingus in the 35 just behind Sean Core. He's the 5th truck back on the outside line.
Mingus is a high school wrestler, so if anything breaks out, I'm going to be on his team. Well, it'll be interesting to see if Peters was the key to the success of that outside line, or if someone else can pull him up there.
Timothy Peters leading at Daytona. He's in front of the 51 of Kyle Busch.
Remember when we talked to Timothy Peters a long time ago on our setup show, he said, I really feel like I'm a better leader than I am a follower.
That's exactly what he is doing at Daytona, in front of the field. The 17 of Timothy Peters won here in 2010, looking to become just the 2nd driver to find victory lane twice in the Camping World Truck Series. Only on Fox.
Lap car on the inside here could cause a problem. They're going to have to go spread out and go around it.
It's going to be good for Peters and the leaders, but then 3 wide off turn 2 always is hairy.
So far they've been able to do it, accomplish the 3 wide, move back into position.
How are they doing that, Phil?
I don't know. And they're fighting for that inside too, aren't they?
All over the place.
There's an opening on the inside. Trucks are trying to grab it. That's exactly what Timothy Peters did once he was able to get in front of Kyle Busch.
This is going to get crazy, boys. It's already crazy to watch.
Parker Kligerman in the 58 bottoming out.
What about the job Kligerman's done? We thought he would be tough. He's driven into the top 10. Got a little bit low on entry there.
Looks like he got the
splitter.
Edge of the splitter on the apron of the racetrack.
Bob Dillner.
Actually, Parker Kligerman, who won Talladega a couple years ago, drove up to 6th before that caution, and he had a very slow stop. Knocked him back to 10th on that restart. He is slowly climbing back up there right now. He is 9th right now on the inside line, but they believe that slow stop will be very important for them because they'll have to put less fuel in next time. Hermie?
Well, Bob, one of the more frustrated drivers on the racetrack right now is Jeff Burton in that 13 truck outside the top 20, boxed in and nowhere to go. You can start here in his voice and that of his spotter. They know that laps are getting short, only 30 laps to go. The problem is they want him to move to the high side of the racetrack. He doesn't like the high side, says he is not as good, but as you can tell, a traffic jam in the back for the 13.
I believe there's a traffic jam from behind Kyle Busch right now.
There's a traffic jam everywhere.
Timothy Peters in front of Kyle Busch. Now it's 2 Toyotas in front of the field. Hornaday, Ryan Truex, 2 Chevrolets running 3rd and 4th. Johnny Sauter rounds out our top 5. Third caution came out. It was a big one in the NextEra Energy Resources 250. A lot of trucks caught up in this incident. The 35 of Mason Mingus hit a ton on the outside wall.
There's John King. John West Townley got some of that. You see a splitter all bent up on the left side. Happened to just inside the top 10. Did the 92 of Ross Chastain get in the back of Parker Kligerman in the 58?
It appears that's the deal. Parker Kligerman, Phil, had driven up to the outside coming off turn 4 to lead that group that Ross Chastain was in the front of, and it looked like Ross got a little overzealous into one and hit Kligerman. Maybe we can get a better look at it. Hopefully everybody's okay.
Watch that white truck on the outside. You can see right now the 92 is against the tailgate.
Yep.
I think maybe did the 58 have to go up the track a little bit, maybe change directions a little bit to avoid the 35, and when he did that, it just got him loose. Look at the job that Jeb Burton does.
Jeb Burton does an amazing job of getting through this.
As does Caleb Holman. Look at Kay, he's right in the middle of the wreck.
That's that blue and white car, or truck, excuse me, number 75.
Another look. The 58 gets a little help from behind, turns inside and into that 35.
Yeah, wow. Hard hit for Mason Mingus.
He's a tough young man, and I know it's he's needing to be tough right now. That was a huge crash.
Look at the damage to that Mad Bapes truck, that Toyota. Tyler Young comes along, gets caught up with the 35. There's Chris Fontaine. There's another view of it. You see the contact right there.
Did you see how the 35 came, maybe was, just one half,
right,
a quarter of a truck
bit.
length up high, and maybe Kligerman had to change directions, and at the same time, Chastain gave him a bump, and it just sent him out of control.
And the bumps are what these guys have relied on to get some momentum. So, that's not unprecedented to get a bump like that.
There's some great driving that goes on during this crash, though. Joe Nemechek somehow snakes his way through this huge crash.
Did you see the safer barrier give when the 35 of Mingus hit it just about head on?
Riding along with the 31 of Ben Kennedy. Amazingly unscathed through that incident.
Oh, Bubba's so close to making it, but gets caught up in it. Look at Jeb Burton. Under control. Makes his way through the crash.
All around him.
Same with Caleb Holman there.
This is Joey Coulter.
Well, Joey saw it pretty early. He makes contact with Brian Eichler. Ooh, and a lot of damage. Along with Brendan Newberry in the 24.
See Joe Nemechek? He just kept on driving, made it all the way through the crash.
It's experience for you.
A lot of sheet metal destroyed on these trucks.
Wow.
Yeah, a hard hit for Mason Mingus in the 35.
Brian Eichler as well on that 7 Red Horse truck. Ryan Ellis, that 28 truck, did a nice job getting by. He was right in the middle of this.
I think it was just a situation, Phil, where we've tried to race so close together. Mingus was off the bottom, just maybe a quarter, a half a truck length. Look at this view right here. Let's see if we can see if Mingus maybe comes up just a little bit, and then Kligerman has to change grooves right there.
There he's coming up just a tick.
Just a couple feet, maybe.
That's all we're talking about. That's how precise you have to be, and that's why it's impossible for these guys to race like that all night long. That was just Mingus doing a little bit different line into the corner than Kligerman expected, and then at the same time Chastain into the back, and you have a big crash.
There's a good chance that Parker Kligerman wasn't going to save that truck, though. I mean, he came down and clipped Mason Mingus. The possibility exists he was going to continue to go around. It just happened that the 35 was down there and he clipped the back end of it.
There's Brendan Newberry in the gunbroker uniform getting in the truck. There's Tyler Young in the other black uniform getting into the ambulance. There's Joey Coulter. Good to see these drivers getting out of these vehicles.
Yep. There's the 54 of Bubba Wallace on pit road, right?
And guys, so many of these trucks that are chasing the championship involved in that crash. Bubba, one of those, and they have got a good bit of work to do. Obviously, the toe on the right front, is really messed up. Most of the damage to his Toyota Care Tundra is on the right side. They have worked on the clearance on the right front fender. They put a lot of bear bond on this thing, but it's the right front that they continue to work with. They're going to try to reset the toe a bit, get him back in, and chase some points.
A lot of damage at a racetrack where aerodynamics is so important. At least 15 involved in this crash. Tyler Young, John West Townley, Brian Eichler. Saw the 19 get caught up a bit. Parker Kligerman in the 58, of course. Chris Fontaine, Ross Chastain also involved. Hardest hit, Mason Mingus in the 35. They're cleaning up the debris here at Daytona. Tonight's Fox Sports Live crew brings you the latest news and results from Sochi, plus all the highlights from a full day of college basketball and the NBA. Fox Sports Live is coming up right after this truck race here on Fox Sports 1. Third caution was the big one.
Yes, it was.
A lot of very good trucks caught up in the incident. Parker Kligerman at the front of the outside line. Got into the back of the 35 of Mason Mingus, and then it was on. Just 22 laps to go. Pit stops did take place during the break. Let's get an update. We go to Bob Dillner.
Kyle Busch made a pit stop, and they did fuel only, but Eric Phillips, his crew chief, and Kyle were talking about possibly repairing that missing cowl insert. Kyle said, I don't think we can give up that track position because it's so key here at Daytona, right?
Bob, Timothy Peters came in first and went out of the pits in 8th. They put a lot more fuel in his Valvoline Tundra than everyone else. Most of the guys down here going with a splash. Marcus Richmond said fill it all the way up. So working on the balance for driver 17.
I don't like giving up any track position. Kyle Busch can't work on his cowl, and getting it full of fuel takes too long.
Another truck making its way behind the wall. That's Caleb Holman in the 75.
Ron Hornaday squeezes into his box.
Looked like he got in there well.
Oh, and he leaves well. We didn't expect anything less from Hornaday than spinning his tires in low gear leaving there, right?
Yep, did a nice job. Got in his pits well, got out well, unimpeded.
Crew has been working diligently all day long here at Daytona, and once again they'll work to repair the safer barrier.
Did you see that thing give?
Yeah, replace some of those styrofoam inserts behind the wall.
Makes my heart smile knowing that we have such safe conditions.
Yeah, watch the impact there with a 35 truck right there.
180 miles an hour, Phil.
Wow.
Pretty much head on into a wall.
Thank goodness for the safer barriers.
Race off pit road.
Kyle Busch, Ron Hornaday, Ryan Truex Jr. and Ryan Truex.
Yep. And
then Ben Kennedy.
Ben had a great
number
stop.
one.
Good stop by his team. He learned from his mistake early. When the money stop counted, he was able to get out of there and get through the crash.
Hard hit for Brian Eichler as well in the 7.
It looked like every hit was hard in this accident.
Oh, and how about one more?
There was Parker Kligerman after clipping the 35. He gets caught up with the 54 of Darrell Wallace Jr. and more contact coming. We'll be back for the restart here on Fox Sports 1. For all the interviews to get to know the drivers a little bit better. Again, that's tomorrow at 8 o'clock on Fox.
The complexion of this race has changed a little bit since this big wreck.
And into the top 10, that yellow truck you see there, defending series champion Matt Crafton. His strategy of laying back after his problems on pit road have paid off.
Another look from the Goodyear blimp.
You can just see that's no one's fault. It's a product of hard racing. It was just a bit of a change of lanes by Mingus, then Kligerman laying right on Mingus, and then Ross Chastain into the back of Kligerman. A chain reaction crash that was just a product of racing that close together at 190 miles an hour.
Nobody was doing anything wrong. Mason Mingus wasn't doing anything wrong. Nor was Parker Kligerman, but no Ross Chastain.
And Parker Kligerman has come out of the infield care center. Let's hear from him.
Parker is A-OK, but you're crawling up there towards the front of the pack. But what happened?
Oh, I was on the bottom there. We were in the top 5 for most of that first half of the race. And just on the bottom, riding, just biding our time, going through the fuel strategy and such. And we got to that second restart, and we're shuffled back to 9th. And that outside line could hold really hard on to 9th place, 9th to 5th. But they had to side draft so hard, and they were dooring people. And so I just got a little worried, like, man, I want to be here. Yeah, well, I want to be here, but at the same token, I was just getting worried that people were dooring each other and getting aggressive. And so I was like, if I can get to the top, I'm going to go up there and just ride there. So I went up when I got clear, and the 92 bumped me once. It was fine. Then we went up in the corner, and it just, honestly, nothing. I steered right, kind of felt like I had it. It caught the truck on the inside and went. It just lifted the rear tires off the ground. So I feel terrible to everyone on the North American Power, Bandit Chipper, Tundra, New Intelligence on the back, and all the guys that got wrecked. It's one of those things. It's kind of one of those racing things, but at the same time, it's like you get bumped, you want to hold on to it, and you want to lead that deal. And I guess at the end of the day, you can kind of put it as a racing incident, but at the same token, I just feel bad. I was kind of the first truck to spin out.
Green flag back in the air. 18 laps to go from Daytona. It's Kyle Busch out front. Ron Hornaday running that outside line. He's got Ben Kennedy behind him.
We saw Hornaday get to the bottom in front of Ryan Truex on that last restart. He had the opportunity then, but Phil, he elected to stay up on the high road with Ben Kennedy, giving his teammates someone to push against. So we'll see if Hornaday, Kennedy, and Timothy Peters on the outside can make any ground.
3 pretty darn good trucks on the outside.
And we saw with Kyle Busch leading that inside line earlier and Timothy Peters heading the outside line, those trucks got there. They got there and got past Kyle Busch.
Getting reports the 92 of Ross Chastain, the 24 of Brendan Newberry, also the 35 of Mason Mingus, all checked and released from the infield care center.
See that white truck on the inside? That's the 98 of Johnny Sauter. He right now runs in the 3rd spot, battling for 3rd side by side with Hornaday. Ryan Blaney, that blue truck, the 29, right behind Johnny Sauter.
Here comes that outside line. They're up to 3rd.
Ron Hornaday leading the outside line. He's got the 31 of Ben Kennedy just behind him, trying to work together those teammates. Let's go back into the infield and Bob Dillner.
Ross Chastain, what triggered that big wreck?
It's hard to say. You got, well, first off, I guess I need to say I think BTS, Black's Tire Service, Watermelon.org, the whole National Watermelon Motorsport, all my family up in Savannah, see you in the morning. Sorry we couldn't do any better, but, worked with Timothy really well there, and I couldn't really get pushed as much as I could push. I think that worked good when I was behind the 17, but when the 58 or whatever, when he pulled up, you got these guys that come down and a sponsor says they're cup level, and it's tough to say if they should be out here. And then that's twice now that we've wrecked at these speedways, and I tried to push him and I tried to bump him, and I don't know if he had his shocks closed off or what, but man, it's just unfortunate. Mr. Ricky wanted to come here and race, and we did, and we were racing, and man, we worked great with some people, and then you got some guys out there that just, I don't know, I can't seem to figure it out how to work with them. So maybe it's me. I don't know. I wish wait to see a replay to know for sure, but it just seemed like if he had his shocks closed off, then probably not much he could do, but still, I don't know.
Hermie Sadler.
Bubba Wallace was able to drive his truck to the garage. Disappointing end to the night. What happened from your perspective?
58, I think Parker had a good run going on the outside. Me and Ross, 17 bailed on us. Knew that would happen, but it's all good. Me and Ross were just trying to side draft and stay up there near the front of the pack, and I guess Parker got clear and decided to come up, and Ross just had a run, and I seen it unfold, and I seen Parker get loose, and I tried to go down and miss it, and I thought I had it clear, then someone hit me, I think right here. I don't know. I don't have a mark right. Oh, I got a little donut, so I don't know. It's just unfortunate for my guys, and the new year, new season, new truck, and spent so many hours on this, working on this Toyota Tundra to get us, a good finish here at Daytona. It's that's what I'm most, pissed off about, is for my guys, because then they work their tails off day in and day out, and we end up with a wrecked Toyota Tundra. So it's Daytona, I guess. We got to dodge another one when we go to Talladega. So let's go to Martinsville. We'll put them on there.
That's Bubba Wallace. Back to the Care Center, Bob Dillner.
Under caution now here at Daytona, but good to see Mason Mingus okay. I want to talk to you about this. How do you describe what happened to you on the racetrack?
Yeah, it was a pretty frustrating night for us. We had such a good Mad Babes Toyota Tundra. The guys at Wintron did a great job putting together a really strong truck. I felt like we really had something for them. And, it looked like somebody got in the back of the 58 and turned them into our right rear quarter panel and turned us in the wall. So I don't really think there was anywhere for us to go. Again, it's unfortunate. Mad Babes got on board with us tonight, and I thought we were really going to have a strong truck and we could have contended there at the end. We got stuck in the back there for a long time and couldn't go anywhere. The outside line wasn't going, and so we kind of got pinned down on the inside, but I felt like we had a good enough truck to run up front, and we finally got a chance to get inside the top 10 and start racing a little bit. And then that happened. So it's really unfortunate, but, we'll move on to Martinsville.
One tough customer. He's a former high school wrestler.
Travis Quapple in the 50. It looks as though the engine expired on that 50, and so our fourth caution has come out now.
So that's Travis right there in that 50 truck.
I like this super zoom from Fox. Get a good view of that engine blowing up and all the oil that goes down. Obviously, NASCAR did the smart thing there to throw a caution. That's a mess.
Watch Travis very quickly get down below the double yellow line so he doesn't put any more debris on the racetrack than necessary.
Maybe they're looking to see if an oil line has come loose. Great crowd on hand to see the final 14 laps from Daytona. Welcome back. It's turned out to be a nice night here in Daytona Beach, Florida. After the rains passed through, the track has been dry. Our NextEra Energy Resources 250 presented by Chevy continues with under 12 laps of racing to go. You think we're done with cautions?
No, I personally don't. Phil thinks we are. I believe we're going to get to pushing and shoving. You got some hungry race car drivers near the front of this pack. Ryan Truex up on the front row next to Kyle Busch. Joe Nemechek drives through that crash and into the top 5. Matt Crafton, we talked about him falling back. And there's Ben Kennedy and Ron Hornaday on the outside as well. So a lot of talent wanting to see what it feels like to drive into victory lane at Daytona.
We talked to Kyle before the race and talked about the fact that he's finished second here 3 times, and he said he wanted to be second on the last lap, but then a caution came out last year and Johnny Sutter was just able to go across the line at caution speed, and he felt like he gave one away with Todd Bodine. So it's going to be interesting to see. I got to believe he's going to hold on to this lead. He doesn't want to go back to second now, do you think?
No, I don't see how you can. You can't give up any track position. You want to hold everything you got. And that young man on the outside of that front row, Ryan Truex, has done an amazing job of putting himself in a position to win here at Daytona.
That front row made up of the 51 of Kyle Busch and Ryan Truex on the outside in the 32. Johnny Sauter, Ryan Blaney in row 2. Nemechek and Hornaday in row 3. Kennedy and Crafton back there in row 4. Coming into the trial, but once again, green flag back in the air. Time again to crank it up. Brought to you by the new move, Need for Speed, in theaters March 14th. To go. Kyle Busch in front of Johnny Sauter, Ryan Blaney, Joe Nemechek, and Matt Crafton.
A lot of holes opened up on the bottom there, Phil, for some of those guys in the outside lane, and it really hurt Ryan Truex. He started on the front row. He's all the way back outside the top 10 after one lap.
He's got Ron Hornaday back there with him.
Another engine.
It's the same one.
Yep, that's Travis Quaffle that went back out on the track, and it looks as though smoke coming out from that once again. He gets back to the apron. We're staying green for now. We'll see if NASCAR throws the yellow flag out. We stay green. Pat coming off of turn number 4. Single file line all the way back to 10th place.
Kyle Busch, that 51 truck. Johnny Sauter, the 98, hooked up. Ryan Blaney, that blue number 29, in 3rd. And how about Joe Nemechek? Front row Joe up in 4th.
A little bit of progress by that outside group there, Phil. They were outside the top 10, and now they've driven up inside of it. Hornaday pushing Truex. There's front row Joe you talked about. He's so proud to be sharing that number 8 truck with his son, John Hunter. And man, is he doing a great job up in the top 5.
How about Matt Crafton? He was running 30th before the big one there, about 15 seconds behind the lead pack.
How smart does he feel right now? What about our man Norm Benning inside the top 20 as well, right with the lead draft? There's Ben Kennedy overcoming a problem on pit road, racing up there inside the top 10.
Kyle Busch, one of the tracks, one of 3 tracks in the Camping World Truck Series that he has not been able to find victory lane, and he continues to lead here.
Truex up to 8th that last time by, guys. Ron's giving him a good push. If those trucks can get a little bit more help, we might be too wide before the lead. Big push from Hornaday.
Whoa, just about pushed him into the 99 of Brian Silas. Watch his hands, watch his hands.
That is so poised under pressure. 290 miles an hour, out of control. He's able just to gently turn that wheel to keep that truck under control.
That outside line trying to find some speed to battle once again the inside line. We saw Timothy Peters run that high line and able to take the high line past the lower line. He's been the only truck that's been able to do it. Now he jumps out of the inside line in front of the 32.
Great call, Rick. Timothy Peters was waiting for that outside line to come. He knew he drove to the front once up there. He can't win from 6th place. He said, I got to give it a go.
I like his strategy. You're exactly right, Mike. He said, if I'm sitting here in 6th, there's no way I can win. Let's see if we can get out here and make something happen.
And there comes Truex right up to his tailgate. Bam, a push.
Bumps him once again. Bump drafting is the only thing allowed at Daytona. You can't push. Trying to get that run once again. He's going to get another bump from Ryan Truex. The 17 of Timothy Peters trying to make it back to victory lane at Daytona.
These boys are all over the place, Phil. Sideways, getting bumped. Pressure's on the outside line, up inside the top 5.
6 laps of racing to go.
Timothy Peters has proved to have a good leading truck. He's been so strong when he's been out front.
Getting a side draft off the 88 of Matt Crafton. Timothy Peters trying to get that momentum back for the high line. Kyle Busch running the inside line. Needs help from Johnny Sauter to stay up there.
Up inside the top 3. He's going for the lead on the outside.
Ryan Blaney thought about jumping up there in front of him. He didn't quite make it.
Now does Kyle Busch have to move to the high line to stay in front of Timothy Peters, or will that outside line go right by?
How strong is that number 17? Timothy Peters Toyota is running.
How about Jimmy Weller, that 08? Right now he's running in the 8th spot. He's in that outside line.
A big gap between 1 and 2 on the inside line, and that allows the 17 of Timothy Peters to get the nose in front of Kyle Busch again.
We talked about this being a 190-mile-an-hour chess match. What about that decision that Timothy Peters made? He said, I got to get to the outside. I can lead this race, and he's going for the lead on the backstretch.
Trying to get in front of the 51. Kyle Busch on the inside, holding his ground.
Whoa.
Timothy Peters side drafting off of the 51. Busch back in front now.
Almost body slamming right there for a minute. Boy, it's getting close up there.
Here comes Timothy Peters. He has the lead in the tri-oval. He drops down to the inside line. 4 laps of racing to go.
Now Hornaday's on the back of his teammate Truex, and they're going to try to continue what Timothy Peters started.
Here's where it's so easy just to get caught up in it. Looks like Ron Hornaday is right against that 32 truck. NASCAR will not allow him to push. He can bump, but no pushing.
Down the backstretch they go. Timothy Peters looks to check that outside line, moves way up the racetrack to try to block. Here comes the momentum of the 32 of Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Truex
up front.
There's the bump from Kyle Busch to Peters.
Kyle Busch
turned them sideways.
Got the 17 a little bit loose as they come back to the tri-oval. This time around, 3 laps to go at Daytona.
They can't make it, Phil. They're just too out of control, pushing hard, trying to get everything they can.
Now another push from Hornaday to Ryan Truex, trying to get in that momentum to get that outside line moving again.
Almost like Timothy Peters got too far in front. He needs another push from the 51 of Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch has said when the white flag flies, he'd like to be in the 2nd position. Now, Timothy Peters moved up to the track, trying to block the 32. Ryan Truex is up there, though.
You got to appreciate what Peters is doing. He's trying to block that outside lane. He is on the gas tonight. Made a smart decision to get the lead. Now he's got to try to defend it.
They're going to have a big run now. Ryan Truex has dropped all the way back to the 4th spot now. Johnny Sauter in 3rd. Kyle Busch in 2nd. 2 laps to go for Timothy Peters.
That's what Kyle Busch wants right now. He doesn't want that truck on the outside. He wants to be able to jump to the outside and maybe use that momentum from the outside line. You see him dancing around now. Thought about going to the outside that time.
Was that a fake on Peters to try to get him to wonder what Kyle Busch has in mind for this last lap?
Can the momentum come back again on the high side? Sure enough, here comes Ryan Truex in the 32. Timothy Peters has a truck length in front of the 51 of Kyle Busch.
What a push Truex is getting from his teammate there. Hornaday all over the back of him.
Coming out of turn number 4. This time by, they're going to see the white flag.
Timothy Peters is driving out of his mirror right now.
White flag in the air. One more time around Daytona.
White flag, one more.
Peters holding his line on the bottom of the racetrack.
Looks like Kyle Busch has fallen off of Peters' tailgate a bit. And that outside line can't keep up the pace right now.
I think that's what Kyle Busch wants. He wants to be able to. Now, here comes Truex up next, side by side with Kyle.
What a run for Truex.
Truex with another run as they enter turn number 3. He's side by side for 2nd. Kyle Busch is boxed in as they come through 3 and 4. Now he's got a little bit of an advantage. Kyle Busch, does he have the momentum? Coming out of turn number 4. He makes the move to the outside. Timothy Peters checks him up high as they come to the stripe. Side by side for the win. It's going to go to Kyle Busch as he crossed the stripe.
Jimmy Weller gets turned around past the start-finish line.
A perfectly timed pass for Kyle Busch. And, of course, we got to apologize. A little emotion there in the radio.
What an amazing run to the checker.
Boy, Timothy Peters did all he could do to try to block Kyle Busch. He had to give him a little bit of room.
And that's all Kyle Busch usually needs, is just a little bit of room. He fell off the back of Peters' Phil coming off turn 4. Got a little bit of push from behind, and that's all he needed to propel his truck to victory lane.
He said he wanted to be 2nd when the white flag flew. He said he needed to time it out just right. You can't get any closer than what they just did. 17 1,000ths of a second separated the two.
Remember, we talked about youth versus experience. We had 3 of our more experienced drivers finish 1, 2, 3.
You see the gap right there? I think Kyle got that on purpose to get off of Timothy Peters. Use the run to get to the outside of him. Timothy did all he could do. He tried to swoop over and get a push from Sauter for the win. It just didn't work.
Look how close the finish is at Daytona once again. 17 1,000ths of a second.
Wow, unbelievable.
I love trucks.
I thought it was going to be 3 wide for a moment.
We've seen that before a few times.
I love trucks.
Look at that.
Incredible. That's what 17 thousandths of a second looks like.
About 4 feet from the bumper of the 51 to the bumper of the 17. Kyle Busch has been able to figure out his celebration a few different times in the Camping World Truck Series. This is win number 36 for him. Let's hear from the winning crew chief. He's with Bob Dillon.
A big sigh of relief from Eric Phillips. Kyle Busch has finally won at Daytona. Sitting up there on that box, what was that like?
It was pretty cool. He knew what he wanted to do. I kind of rather been in second than leading there. We had something wrong with our truck about halfway through the race. The guys, we made a mistake, but the pit crew and Kyle kept it up there all night in a spotter. Those guys, him and Kyle, Tony, are awesome together. But got to give a shout out to Woody, our truck driver. He's been in Halifax for the last 2 days. Get better, big man.
Emotional time for Eric Phillips, and let me tell you something. Spotter Tony Hirschman was like an air traffic controller for Kyle Busch.
He has the checkered flag. He'll jump back in that truck and make it to victory lane for his first time here at Daytona. Finish.
He stuck it to the outside, Rick, and Timothy had to give him a groove. He knew Kyle was coming. Timothy just couldn't quite get down in front of Johnny Sauter soon enough to get the big push, and it gave Kyle that huge 17 thousandths of a second victory.
Kyle knew how to lose him. He's finished second 3 times here. Now he knows how to win him.
And Timothy Peters, a very close second, standing by with Ray Dunlap.
Yeah, our 2010 winner came oh so close. My big question is, what happened on that last lap, and is there anything else you could have done?
You know, it's always easy to sit here and be Monday morning quarterback, but I guess I wouldn't have got out as far as I did. But Kyle caught the right push at the right time from Johnny. I went up to try to block him, but then got right back down to the bottom so I wouldn't lose second. So, hey, what a great effort by everybody on this Valvoline Toyota Tundra. Thank you to all the guys back at the Fab Shop. This was a bullet tonight. I believe we were the only truck that can make the outside line work like that. The 92 really helped me. The 32 really helped me. But, man, what a great group effort. What a great start to the season with my buddy Marcus Richmond back on top of the box. So it's like we never split up.
He came from way back, used the outside, and made one heck of a run. Timothy Peters brings it home second. Bob?
Kyle Busch climbing out in victory lane in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series at Daytona. A shower down here for Kyle Busch. But you did it. NASCAR Camping World Truck Series winner at Daytona. How does that sound?
Well, it sounds awesome. I'd love to be a Daytona 500 winner, but man, first and foremost, we've got a good buddy, our truck driver, Woody. He's in the hospital tonight, so we're thinking about him. You know, he had some issues down here in Daytona just breathing, and so we're hoping he's getting better. We're hoping you're coming back. You got to drive this thing home tonight, you know, but no, all in all, man, can't say enough about everyone at Kyle Busch Motorsports, this whole team, everyone from Toyota Care and TRD, building this truck and helping us and doing all the research and development with us. And this is the first win for the new trucks, and so this is pretty exciting to see Toyota back in victory lane again here in Daytona, but also for KBM. I mean, this now makes it where I've won 4. I've won the ARCA race here, won the truck race here, Nationwide and Cup. So that's what was eluding me. I was trying to get a truck win here, finally got one.
How would you describe the finish here and how you made that move?
I didn't think I was going to be able to make that move. You know, I said I'm going to throw it out there and see what happens, you know, and I got kind of to his outside, and I started to break the plane, and then that started to slow him down, and then as soon as I did, it just drug him back, you know. But I can't say enough about Camping World. Everyone here in this series, this Toyota Tundra was awesome. Of course, Monster Energy drink JGR engines and, you know, the fans. Couldn't do it without them. You know, we appreciate their support being out here tonight on a rainy Friday night. It's a late night, but we're in victory lane, baby, so this is good.
8 straight wins for Toyota at Daytona. Hermie?
Well, Bob, Johnny Sauter won this race last year, come home third tonight. Explain those last couple laps and coming off turn 4 to the checkers.
Yeah, well, you know, you're ultimately trying to keep yourself in position to try to make a run. And the 17 truck came out of nowhere. I was like, that's a heck of a run. But nonetheless, our next aerospace Curb Records Toyota was strong tonight. I just wasn't in a position to get the run on Kyle that I needed to. I gave him a push. I didn't have a choice. I wanted to make sure we could get rid of the 32, and my only hope was to push Kyle out and try to drag me with him. And I just didn't have momentum enough to make a move there. But it's a good night. I'm glad for everybody at Toyota. I think this is 8 wins in a row here. Toyota top 3 spots, and all 3 ThorSport trucks are in one piece. So if you can't win it, you want to finish it, and that's a solid start to the season.
That's Johnny Sauter. He comes home third.
Johnny Sauter with a positive outlook to the finish of this one. Kyle Busch, as we mentioned, had never won in the Camping World Truck Series here at Daytona. He notches that one in his belt now.
Some great stories up in the top 10. Ryan Truex with a great top 5 finish. Ron Hornaday, how about Ron Hornaday? We talked about him, the senior statesman of this series, with a top 5 finish.
What a surprise. Matt Crafton finished virtually every race last year in the top 10. First race of 2014, 13.
And Ben Kennedy dropped back after his pit stop, was able to race into the top 5 again, but fell back late. These guys all involved in a crash.
Yeah, the big accident.
Guys, Ryan Ellis finished in the 18th position, and he was 3/4 of a second behind at the end of the race.
And how about some style points for Jimmy Weller? I finished 8th, okay, and I did it by spinning out at the checker flag. So that was quite a move, quite a run. Look at that action there. Those guys were all over one another, and there goes Weller around. But still, a top 10 finish for him.
Matt Crafton snuck through there. Wow.
Let's go back to Hermie Sadler.
Well, Ryan Blaney, you come on with a 6th place finish. I could sense a little bit of a disappointment in your voice, but a lot of experience. And you guys had decent track position, but not what you needed at the end.
Yeah, you know, I knew that the top line didn't really work very good all night. And really the only time it worked was when Timothy was leading it, and he had a really fast truck and ran into someone on pit road or our second stop, and that didn't help us. You know, we had a big hole in it, and I knew I probably couldn't lead very well, but I saw Timothy coming there, I think about 5 to go, and on the top, and I was 80% of going up and heading with that line, but he was coming so fast with a big head of steam, and I think we would have wrecked ourselves. But you know, bringing home a fairly together truck. Our teammate got good experience too, Tyler Reddick. So good start to the year, you know, having a truck in one piece, and excited to go to Martinsville and really get this season started.
That's Ryan Blaney, 6th place tonight, Ray.
Ryan Truex comes home 4th tonight, and I heard your crew chief, Mike Hillman Jr., say, we don't care about points, go for the win. Tell me about that last lap.
Oh, my God. There was so much going on. I thought on that restart there, I dropped back to, I don't know, like 12th or so. I thought, man, we were done. And I just side drafted everybody as hard as I possibly could. I got lucky, and Ron Hornaday was, there we go. Ron Hornaday was an awesome teammate and just pushed the crap out of me. And once I got Timothy to the lead, Ron just started pushing me. I thought maybe they were going to wreck here and we'd have a shot. I almost got 3rd there. It was close. But, man, I'm a rookie out here. I don't have rookie stripes, but I'm a rookie. And
how much fun is that, though?
I can't explain it. I mean, to be running with Kyle Busch and Timothy Peters, who's won here, Kyle Busch, who's won everywhere, I was surrounded by veterans. And, like I said, thank you, Ron Hornaday, for pushing me. Because if it weren't for him, we would have been like 15th. We might have been wrecking, who knows. So got to thank Bass Pro Shops. Johnny Morris back here. He came through, and he's been a big part of Martin's career. And this is just huge for my confidence. You know, we didn't make the Cup race last night, and man, December I didn't even have a ride. I didn't know what I was doing. So thanks to Steve Turner and Harry Scott, Mike Hillman Jr., everybody for giving me this opportunity. And I knew I'd have to come out and make the most of it. I knew points didn't matter. Came here to either win or wreck it, and we got 4th, so I'm happy with it.
And no wreck truck, so that's a pretty good night for Team 32.
And the points might not matter for Ryan Truex, but they do matter for those running for a championship. And that right now, Timothy Peters leading the points.
As Ray said at the very top of the show, you don't want to start out in a hole here. And all these guys up here in the top 10 have a pretty decent start to the 2014 season.
They can look forward to Martinsville, know they're off to a good start, and try to continue the momentum. But The most important thing at Daytona is leaving here with that trophy, and Kyle Busch accomplished that tonight.
How good a teammate was Ron Hornaday here tonight? He pushed Ben Kennedy early. Ben Kennedy led the first half of the race, and then at the end of the race, he pushed his other teammate Ryan Truex up into the top 5.
Mr. Turner just must be so proud of his organization. He gave them some direction. I'm going to give you great trucks, help each other out, and they did more than just help each other out. They were committed to one another.
A lot of action continuing tomorrow. Sprint Cup Series final practice, 10 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Then, of course, the battle at the beach. Excuse me, the bash at the beach. That's at 8 o'clock. The battle was right here on the high banks of Daytona International Speedway, but that bash at the beach, 8 o'clock on Fox. Brad Keselowski watched his drivers gain a lot of experience. In the end, the one who was putting the most lessons on for the rest of the field was the driver of the 51. Kyle Busch finally grabs his first win in the Camping World Truck Series at Daytona International Speedway. And now, Fox Sports Live rolls on.